All right, so let's continue with strings. Now remember I told you earlier that a string is an array of letters. Now let me explain how that is possible. In an array, let's say we have something like this. Let array equals this. Okay, and let me just put some text in it. Let me say 1, 2, just make it 3. So all right. So if I do this in an array, to access that value, I have to use a console.log. Okay, um, let me access array 1, for instance. So if I should run this now, yes, this is what prints out 2. That's the position 1. This is 0, this is 1. So let me say 2. And if I should run this, I get 3, right? Now, this is true for an array. For a string now, I can also do the same thing. And that's to show you that a string is also an array. Now, if I should run this, I'm running name and the third position, which is this, the third position. So if I should run, what's in the third position? N, S-U-N. So with that being said, I would like to proceed to the next item for this tutorial, which will be string methods. Oh, I messed that up. Oh, sorry. String methods. Now, what are string methods? String methods are basically some operations or built-in functions that we can use to run on our string. As you can see here, we can run an array. We know that the string is an array, right? So we can run it against some certain methods, and that's what we want to consider now. Now, to illustrate the concept of um, string methods, I'm going to declare a test variable. So this test variable is what we are going to use all through. So I can say this is for testing purposes only. Stop. Okay, so I'd like to put some space around this. So you understand that very soon. So let me just paste in some bunch of code here and I'll walk you through what happened. Okay, so this is a bunch of code containing the methods, some methods we can do in string. I've narrowed it down to this because these are mainly the ones you are likely going to be using all through your days as a programmer. The other ones are either deprecated or they have no much use for us right now. Now, the first thing I want to do here is to show you that I can do test.length. What does this test.length do? It shows how long a string is. Now, I can see that all these are fired up and ready to go. So let me just uncomment them and comment them out. Yeah, so we don't get to see some other results. So I'll do this for all of them. Okay, almost there. Okay, perfect. So if we run any code now, we only get to see the results of that specific method. So the first method here is the length. And I said this shows how long a string is. Now let me run that and we can see what happens. It shows us what? This number. Now 38 is the total length of this string, including the spaces and the sign here, except the quotes, okay? Because anything inside of the quotes is the actual string. So when you run string.length, it shows you the actual length, like how long the string is. Now going to the next one, we have, sorry, okay. Going to this one now, we have dot slice. This dot slice extracts a part of a string and returns the extracted part in a new string by specifying a start and end position. Now, if you see this string, this length, it doesn't take a parenthesis and a parameter. That's because it doesn't require a parenthesis or a parameter. You don't need to pass in an argument for it to give you the length. That's a basic job. But this takes in a parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis it takes in two values, comma separated values actually, and they must be numbers. The first number is the start of the string, the start of the position where you want to cut or slice it out. Then the second one is the last value that you want to slice out. So with this now, we have like a selection in our code. We have a selection of a part of the string that I want to call out. So if I should run this now, what do we have? Okay, there's a negative value here. This is to illustrate that this slice now doesn't work with negative values. If you put negative values in it, it's going to break. So if I should remove that negative value and make it like so and run it, this is what we have. HIS is for this. Now, if you look at this point, this is where it cuts out. Okay, so we could also make this interesting, right? We could make it interesting and do something like if this is 15, then let me start from 15. So testing alone can be shown. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Let's see if we're correct with that. So if I should run that again, oh, I have to start from 14, a string before. All right, so if I should run that again, this is what we have, testing. Now, I would like to tell you that these string methods, most of them return a new string. You see that it has cut out whatever portion we have specified or selected here and returned a new string. Do you understand? So this returned a new string. So that's how the slice works. Remember, it doesn't take in negative values or it will break. The next one is the substring. The substring. This substring is exactly like the slice, okay? Exactly like the slice. Only difference is that it allows negative values. So the first thing, let me put in the same value as the one above, 15. Let me put 21 and run that. We get this, right? Now, if I should change this value to a negative value, for instance, look at what happens. Instead of taking us to like negative values, we actually print, okay, since the first value here is 0, second is 1, what will be the negative 1? We don't know that, right? So substring will only stop irregardless of which negative value we put here. It will assume that the first value there is 0. So that's why I see it's starting directly from the beginning of the string. Okay, so that's how the substring works. Now we are at the substr. This also works exactly like the slice. Only thing here is that the second parameter specifies how long you want it to count before slicing. Now, this one here, this one and the slice, that's the substring and the slice, they work in the same way. Only difference in slice and substring is the negative values are counted as 0, right? But this ending part now is the starting and the ending selection. But the ending part for this is how many characters do you want me to count before I slice? So let's start from 14. just like we've known that 14 is for the first T in testing. Now, let's count. T has testing. I counted 7. So if I should put 7 here and comment this out, let me run that. Look at what I have. Testing. It went to a starting position, it's 14. Then how many times do you want me to count a character forward? So this is 14. 15, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's why I printed this for us. Now, we can also do something. Let me just say I'm counting 4. So with this, I should print test. You see, so that's how substr works. The next one is replace. So if you look at this string now, if you guessed correctly, replaces a specific string in the string, a specific selection of a string in the whole string, and replaces it with the value specified. Now, the replace takes in 2 parameters like this. The first, the string to search for, and it must be is case sensitive. So if you are writing another case letter here, it might not be able to show you that. While this is the value to replace this value with. Now let's see this and see how to make it make sense. This is for testing purposes only. So what if we said this is not for testing purposes only? So we want to take out 4 and replace it with not for. So here now we remove this and change it to for. So change this also to not for. Okay, so let's run this and see what we have. Now you see this is not for testing purposes. It went ahead and searched for where this position is and replaced only that with this. Now, what happens when we want to search? I wanted to do this earlier. When we want to search for a word that is not on the string, let's guess. Okay, if I should run that now. Now you see, it returned the exact string. Why? Because it doesn't have this word in that string, then it returns the exact string. So that's how replace works. The next one here is replace all. Now, this replace all, I'm going to skip it for now because we've not considered a concept called regular expressions. So that'll be in the next video. I'll explain what regular expressions are. Then I'll explain how to use replace all with it. Now going to the next one, I'll do this and these together just to explain some concept. Now, this is to uppercase to lowercase, and they take no parameters inside of that parenthesis, although they have a parenthesis, but they take no parameters. How does this work? This converts a string to uppercase, that's to uppercase, while to lowercase converts that same string or any string passed into it to lowercase. So let me run that and we inspect the result. So you see this now. The first one is to uppercase. All letters are taken to uppercase. Into uppercase, any letter that is already in uppercase remains as an uppercase. The same thing applies to lowercase in the case of lowercase. Every character is taken down to lowercase. If they already are in lowercase, it's printed that way. As you can see, T here is in caps, but to lowercase printed it as small letter. Okay. Now, I will assume you asked the question about letters, about numbers and symbols. Obviously, numbers and symbols have no uppercase or lowercase representation, so they are printed as is. So this. The next one is this, concat. Concat is short for concatenate. And what does it do? it takes in a string and replaces and adds or joins it with another string. So in this case, we have passed test to it. Remember your dot notation when using methods or built-in functions. So test dot concat, open and close parenthesis. Then inside of the parenthesis, we have what we want to concatenate or join with. Now, at this point now, this is for testing purposes only. I want to add something at the end of this place that says, yeah, let it say please note. Okay, we can use please note also. So let's run this and inspect our results. Now you see, it took in this and looked for a blank space right after it. If there's a blank space right after it, it prints it, it looks at it, then prints in please note right here. So that's how concat works. It concatenates or joins or adds some text up together and prints them as one single string. So that's that. The next one we want to consider is trim. Trim removes white spaces from both sides of the string. Both sides. Yes. So let me uncomment this also, and also uncomment this. If we look at this string, you notice I told you earlier that I'm leaving some spaces around it. This is for testing purposes. Now, the trim removes spaces all around, only around it, not inside of it, just around it. That's the front and the back, or the beginning and the end. So if I should run that now, okay, do this. Now you see the first string. Now trim start removes the spaces from the beginning of the string, from the beginning. Now at this point here, we cannot see the spaces. Okay, I think I can. Okay, good. Now you can see, as I'm highlighting, this point is specifying that there are spaces behind the text, but only the space in front of it was removed. Similarly, for the trim end removes only the spaces at the end of the string, leaving the first value. So the trim is more encompassing, being that it removes spaces, white spaces from the front and the back, or from the start and the end. But trim start removes only from the start, while trim end removes only from the end. So let's uncomment that. Let's comment that out and go to the next one. Next one here is char art. This is short for character art. So how this works is it takes in a value, and that value must be an index specifying the position of a character. The position, not the number, not the length, the position. So if I should say 7 here, I'm actually referring to the eighth letter. Okay, counting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8. Now let's run that and see what we have on screen. We have what? I. We have I. Now this will be, there are two spaces here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then the eighth value here is I. Now let's see, that's 7, this is 8, there's a space here 9, and this is 10. So let's print 10 and see what it gives us on screen. You can see that's F. So the char art prints only the character at the location specified. Now this char code art does similarly the same thing, but instead of returning the value, it returns the Unicode value of that item in the position. So if I'm returning, let me return 10 here also, and I run that. Sorry. Yeah. So if I should run that f, this is small letter f, right? And this is the Unicode value of letter F. So there is a thing called the ANSI code, which is American standard for international, like it's a standardization for characters, numbers, symbols. So every character, uppercase, lowercase, they have their Unicode number. So the Unicode number for F happens to be 102. So that is what um, this charcode art does for us. So let's consider one more. Yeah, let's consider this split. This is saving like the best for last. Okay, this actually creates an array from the string. So from this string, I'm going to create an array. But how does this work? If you notice this split, it takes in a character. It must be a character, maybe a symbol or any character at all that can be found inside of the string. So you have to know the value of your string first. Now, what it does is it takes in a character at this point, taking E, right? So at every point it finds E, it will break that string up and assigns it a number in an array, a position in an array, sorry. Then continues again. Anytime it finds that E again, it creates another element of an array. Then the next, and so on and so forth. So if I should run this now, this is what we have. As you can see, the square brackets, you know this is an array automatically. Now let's inspect our code. We broke our code at E, right? So it took, this is for TE. E is here found. Then it broke all this into one piece of an object or one piece of an item in the array. Then it skipped E because E is the one we're testing for. Continued from this. Where does it find E again? It finds E just after the first S of purposes. That's what we have here. Then it breaks again, then looks into this. There's no E anymore and shows that. So at when it gets to the end, it stops making an array. So at this point now we have 1, 2, and 3 items in our array. So that is how this split works. Okay, so it creates an array. It creates an array from the string, okay, based on the breakpoint specified. So we can also specify some other things. Let me see. We can specify at the bin we have special characters. Okay, let me just put in some special characters here. So I want to break this code at the space, for example. I want to break it at space. So what I just need to do is just put a space. I told you a space is a character. Now if I should run that for us to see, this is what we have. So it took in, this is an array now. Let me expand that so we can see it more clearly. Okay, so this is an array. So everywhere it sees the space character, it breaks it intermittently, breaking this into an array of words or an array of strings. So that is how these string methods work. There are a bunch of others, and we'll be considering them in a later video. Thank you very much for being here. See you in the next one. Bye.